To you guys, all right.
Mm.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the No Bones podcast. We are here to review what was last night's action at UFC 309 at Madison Square Garden. The return of Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic, the long-awaited return for that. It went, fair enough, as a lot of people thought it might do. Jones keeping his unbelievable run throughout his career going. And then we will also talk about a bit about Chandler and Oliveira, a bit about Bo Nickel and Paul Craig, and another bit of sound around that. But we will start with the main event. It went on a bit longer than some people thought it did. Did it, guys? What do we reckon? What's your initial reaction to that fight last night, this morning?
Super impressive. Jon Jones did Jon Jones things, didn't he? I mean, we weren't sure what we're really going to get from him. Most people predicted that he'd win, but for me, that last night, he looked fucking outstanding. I've heard people say he looked a bit slow, sluggish, he looked his age, but for me, to come back is a pretty, he's not been that active of late, and he put a clinic on Stipe to me. I thought he'd be a lot closer. I mean, he went into round 3, but for me, he absolutely dominated him in boxing exchanges, with takedown exchanges, ground and pounded first round, he cut him up above left eye, I think it was, left or right eye, and he just completely had his way with him. I mean, it surprised me how one-sided it was. I expected more from Stipe. Having said that, he's been out of octagon for quite a while. Yeah. But I just think all in all, you can't, all bullshit going into it. Us backing Aspinall, I still think Aspinall will kick his ass. And we'll say back into that conversation to probably what will be next. But for me, hats off to him. He's a living legend, Jon Jones. And I think we should be grateful that we're still getting to see him.
I think I almost agree with everything what Chris just said. And after the fight and this morning, like on social media, there is loads of people saying about him slowing down and all that. And yes, I agree he was slower, but in the same time, I don't know what do people expect. I'm listening, like you're reading comments, and I just assume people don't know how combat sport works, because if you're not natural heavyweight and you're putting 50 fucking pounds, you will slow down. It's just given. You're not going to be same lightning, it's just naturally. And yes, the age plays the part, absolutely, yes. And then, you get your gas tank will empty quicker and all this. But him slowing down, it's a natural occurrence, He's not a true heavyweight, isn't he? He never was.
I'm not getting any younger either.
225, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's that good old father time. It catches up with everybody, every human being, especially athletes. Yeah. But to me, to answer back to that quickly, Rich, is when he fought last against Cyril Gane, he barely got tested, and everyone was saying it wasn't really a test for him. Cyril Gane's only a striker. What I would say is, and he barely threw any kicks in that Gane fight because he didn't really have a chance. But what did he finish Stipe with?
Yeah,
that were like vintage Jon Jones, wasn't it? It was like his little trips, his boxing. He looked really good.
And the
like
timing and accuracy of that was something. Honestly, the timing and accuracy of that kick was something else.
I just think the game plan of him as well, what he was doing in that fight, he kept shooting, he kept front kicking him to the body, like teeping him to the body over and over again. You could see it got to him a few times.
Oh, the very first kick got to him. It actually... it seemed like the very first kick dictated the rest of the fight, because he really hurt him with that first kick, and it looked like it just slowed Stipe down, because it really, really hurt him. And people say that Stipe wasn't himself, he's old and all this, but that kick definitely did the damage, and then he wasn't performing as well as he probably should have.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, Chris, with people talking about the Gane fight and stuff like that, but that's testament to Jon Jones, isn't he? Against Cyril Gane, he knew that Gane had no wrestling game, so what his game plan would have been is to get him down, choke him out, and it's exactly what he did, as we all saw. With Stipe Miocic, it's a little bit different, isn't it? That's probably why we saw more of the kicks and stuff like that, because he's a different type of fighter. He had to have a different game plan, and he brought it into octagon, as we've seen him do time and time again, Jon Jones, you know what I mean? He studies opponents, he trains exactly for that opponent. That's the reason why in past he's said he don't want to fight backup fighters and things like that, because he trained specifically for one particular guy. And as far as Stipe goes, a lot of people, I think, was hoping he'd put in a better performance than he did. because it's all been a bit Jon Jones heavy, hasn't it? All the build up and everything.
Yeah.
Paul Miocic is an absolute legend at sport, but he's hardly got a look in for any of
Then,
it.
But that's what
again,
Jon Jones does.
Again,
Sorry,
the
go on.
aftermath is all about Jon Jones, but probably rightly so. I mean,
Even though Steve Hayes announced his retirement, you
Yeah,
think
I respect Stipe to
I've
bits.
not heard a word. I've not heard a word about it, and it's like
Yeah.
what I would say as well.
It's
Jones,
testament to his stature in sport, isn't it?
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. He goes down as a legend, Stipe. He's still best heavyweight of all time, really. His resume, nobody's got a resume anywhere near like his when it comes to the title defenses and all this stuff. What I would
Jon
say,
Jones hasn't got enough time, has he, to make way through heavyweight division to match what Stipe's done in that division.
No
I think Miocic is going to remain there. I think.
Yeah, that's a good point. What I would say quickly, if you want to move on, is Jones were really clever last night. I mean, me and Rich woke up to watch it at ours, and it was a bit of a pain in the ass getting it all sorted. But how clever were Jones? What he were doing every time we kept saying Stipe needs to close distance and put pressure on him, and every time he got a couple of pushes away, he were backing and circling round all the time. He won't stay in pocket at all with him, which is very clever because it's heavyweight. It's heavyweight. Boxing. Then it's heavyweight MMA. Small gloves on. Stipe's a fully fledged heavyweight. One clip and he can be lights out, and he never once got anything off really. He caught him with a few shots, but nothing.
You and me spoke about this yesterday. The way Stipe looked and the way Jon Jones looked. Stipe was ripped, six pack, everything. 42 years old man, ripped, and he was full stone heavier than Jones with a belly on. His belly was hanging out, and he was full stone lighter than Stipe. That just shows the difference in the muscle and bone mass and structure of the man.
I've told you
ultimately the skill of Jon Jones. It shows you.
Yeah, that for me really was vintage Jones yesterday. That full repertoire of strikes, distance, takedowns, ground and pound, vicious elbows. It was like the full repertoire of what Jon. I mean, obviously he's got more. He's world class and he's a legend.
It's almost as if he had something to prove to everybody who's been calling him out this week, isn't it?
It did, and everyone is always a duck and all this, and it was kind of funny to watch. And
so while we're touching on that, let's get to events inside the octagon with Joe Rogan and Jon Jones after it. When he did bring it up, naturally he had to bring it up about what happens next. And to be fair to him, he was a little bit less staunch about not fighting Aspinall, didn't he? He did give everybody a little glimmer of hope. He said, we'll have a little talk with Dana, we'll sit down with Uncle Dana, and maybe we'll give you guys what you want. So, but then I've recently, this afternoon, read another report where he's reiterated that he says he doesn't want the Aspinall fight, he wants a Pereira fight. So after the event, after what things have said, where do you guys stand on that now? Where do you think he goes next? Does he vacate that belt? Does he keep it and fight Aspinall? Does he try and go for a fight with Pereira while still holding that belt?
A few notable things to say is Dana White's, first of all, saying that's the only fight to make, really. Unless they pretty much begging both of them, to Pereira and Jones, to make the fight. Jones is still playing mind games, really. 1 minute he's saying he don't respect Aspinall, he hasn't received nothing in game. Then he's saying I'll give fans what they want. What fans want? I mean, did you hear Arena before fight?
Yeah.
When I mentioned Aspinall and all, it was going crazy. When everybody wants that fight.
I was surprised about that press conference when all Americans, especially, shouting "Tommy." It was.
But he's always saying,
just to top
my words. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, just to top that bit off as well is. So it's all a bit strange what's going on, isn't it? I mean, there's not much respect between Aspinall and Jones, but on back of all what everyone said, Dana White wants that fight. All fans want that fight. Jones is playing mind games by saying, "Oh yeah, maybe I'll hang around." But now he's confirmed he's going to hang around, and then he's also saying he wants fuck you money basically to fight Aspinall. That's what he's come out and said today in an interview. Basically, he'll fight him, but he wants big money. And I don't see whichever way can it go. This UFC at the moment. What they're going to do with that? For me, they've got to pay him whatever he wants and make that fight. Because it's going to look stupid if they don't. I'm telling you now.
Yeah.
It will look fucking.
I think he will fight him, but I think he will make a really bad the point that he's fighting for the money, not for anything else. Because not my words. That's Jon Jones' words. He made it very clear that he thought that about all this, Aspinall was a bit of an asshole the way he went about it, and he really didn't like that. That's what he don't respect it.
Irony of that, though, Rich, is that Jones has come across as more of an arsehole than Aspinall has in all of this to me, and to a lot of people. To be fair, Aspinall was being respectful at first, and I think it's Jones that started being disrespectful with him, and then Aspinall's fought right.
No, I'm just quoting Jones. I'm not. This is not my opinion. I'm just saying that.
I'm just saying
put that in there. That's what he said, and that he said that yesterday and day before.
Can I just
very, very clear that's what he thinks, and that's why he doesn't want to give him a chance to build his career off his name, kind of thing. But I do think that the way things are unraveling, I had a good think about this today, and I think he will vacate the belt, and he will fight the Pereira, and then he'll fight Aspinall. The reason he's going to do that, if he fights Pereira, he knows he's going to win. And it's kind of that it looks like that anyway. Plus, he's going to get more mileage back in an octagon, which he needs. And the second, yes, he may as well, very well he might lose to Aspinall, and he knows that. But if he loses to Aspinall on his exit, I think he's okay with that. But he doesn't want to lose to Aspinall and then fight Pereira. So I think for that reason, he'll fight Pereira first and then Aspinall. And if he wins against Aspinall after he vacated the belt, he takes the belt back anyway. So it kind of, Chris shaking. I'm not saying he will. I'm just saying if. I think that might be his thing.
I need to pull you two, Summer. A few weeks where you were both saying he's going to retire and he's never going to fight again or Aspinall.
Yeah, but keeps changing his mind, and you were right. Yeah, you were right.
We said we think he might retire, but I'm not sure he still will fight Aspinall, to be fair.
I think he will. It's just like you said, for fuck you money.
I don't get where they're going to go, UFC, if they don't make that fight. Aspinall's already defended it once. And it's all right. I love Jon Jones, honestly. We've slagged him off and all that. We're trying to, it's a podcast of the day, and we're trying to voice his opinions. We've got our own, favourites and all this. Brit lads we try and follow. But Jon Jones is saying he's going to vacate belt. Well, why the fuck didn't he vacate it last year he's been out? So Aspinall's defended.
He had a belt.
Aspinall's defended the interim title. So surely he's got to be next.
Got to be. Simple as that. Got to be. If Jon Jones fights again as champion,
I think all this situation is more Dana's fault than Jones's fault. And I think it just happened that all the blame fell on Jones.
Yeah. Anyway, it will eventually get there. We're rehashing conversation that we've had many times, and we'll have it again without no doubt. But let's roll on to the co-main event. We are all looking forward to Jones and Aspinall eventually beating Jones. But we'll leave that there for the time being. It was a great fight last night. Great backspinning kick. Jon Jones, we salute you. You're an absolute goat at sport, mate. So yeah, let's go. Anyway, Michael Chandler, Charles the Bronx Oliveira.
What a fight.
Went the distance.
Great fight.
Yeah. Do we think that Chandler looked every bit of 2 years out at Octagon, though?
Yes, it did.
Early on, it did. Early on, yeah. It were hard to judge, really. You couldn't really judge because he usually comes out like a bat. We've said it on here before. He comes out fast, doesn't he? And he were very reserved. But then Oliveira kind of grew into it really quick. You'd have thought it'd be the other way around, but this time it worked. Chandler said he was going to be more cool and calculated and calm, and he come out a bit flat. Right. So I wasn't sure it's because he hadn't been active for a couple of years. But for me, first 3 or 4 rounds, I mean, how Chandler hung in there, mate, were unbelievable. He got his back took, he got mounted, he escaped a lot of submission attempts. I mean, he just got absolutely dominated for probably 3 rounds from my book. It was easy, 3 or 4 rounds down, going out.
Do you remember what you said yesterday, Chris? How strange that was. That a wrestler is trying to avoid takedowns and wrestle at all costs. It was just bizarre a little bit, actually.
For me,
didn't want him to be there.
But how Chandler hung in there, really, because he pretty much got dominated in my book for 3 or 4 rounds. Shitloads of takedowns again. Yeah. And Oliveira's got the most submissions in UFC history. So you're thinking, you know what? Honestly, I was really impressed with Chandler. I was impressed with how he stuck in there.
The fact that he didn't get 5th round a couple of times. Yeah.
Going into the 5th round, he caught. Rich, you actually said it all. He's only got to connect with one big punch, and I thought, fucking no chance. And he did. He hit him with I don't know if an overhand left or whatever, all right. but he knocked him back, and it was like fucking. Honestly, it nearly got us to his feet. Honestly, mate, it was fucking wild.
It's mad when that happens, and one guy seems to be on back foot so much, and then he swings something with these 4-ounce gloves and stuff like that. And it's when you connect with one of them, it can just change everything in a second, can't it?
That moment to me was typical of both of them. So Chandler came back to his own, and he did the landed perfect punch or combination 1-2. But Oliveira, in same time, it was a 5th round. He dominated the 4 rounds, and he thought, you know what, I'll be cocky and relax this round. What a fucking mistake that was. He literally just landed straight on chin. Soon as he came out cocky, he just landed on chin immediately, and I thought, that's your fault, mate. Immediately, that was my thought. That's your fault.
I couldn't believe how Chris Oliveira was crisp, wasn't he?
I mean, unbelievable.
His striking, mate, were outstanding. He was
such a good fighter, man. As an all-rounder as well. He's such a good all-round fighter, Charles.
How much power out of the skinny guy? How much power in them punches?
He's a guy, Charles Oliveira. But
sorry, go on.
Go on, Rich. All right, mate, go.
His takedown, the timing of his takedowns and the way he took him down, it was perfection almost every single time. You just watch it and you were like, wow. They were beautiful.
That's why everybody loves Chandler. I mean, he's never, ever in a boring fight, ever.
Mm.
I mean,
he's not, but his record's not looking too healthy in UFC now, is it? To be fair, he's had 6 fights, he's lost 4, won 2. I mean, I know he had a couple of funny call-outs. I'm not sure how I feel about the loser getting to call someone out. Like that's weird. But he called 2 out, didn't he? He calling out Conor McGregor and he's calling out Max Holloway. I think he called me out.
He did say though, didn't he? If he'd have won, he'd have been calling Islam Makhachev out. But he says, "I lost, fair enough." And he says, "Yeah, guess what? I want to fight for the BMF title with Holloway." And then if not, he paused for a second. He Conor McGregor.
He's right though, isn't he? I said
he deserves it.
Yeah,
honestly, Conor McGregor, get your shit together. He was saying he deserves it.
Yeah, he's a wasted talent. For 2 years, he sat on his ass when he's not young anymore. Just waited for something that never,
And after last night, he probably understands that he's probably never going to get that undisputed strap in lightweight divisions. So going for BMF or for big money is probably a wise choice.
It's a shame because what a fighter he is, what a character as well. I love him. He's a brilliant sportsman. You know what I mean? And just wasted 2 years.
Let's hope he gets one of them fights that he wants. And obviously, Charles is going to be looking at Islam. Islam's next fight's going to be Arman Sarukian. Charles will be looking to take on the winner of that. But
good point. So where do we think Charles is going from here?
He's been for title shot next for sure for me.
I think he'll get one more shot, yeah.
You know what, his career, mate, if you look back at his career, when he first came into UFC, a few wins, then he had 3 or 4 losses, then he won a few, then lost like 3 or 4, then he went on like a 12-fight win streak, and it's like, fuck. It's honestly, mate, then he lost to Makhachev. It's just, mate, his career has been...
We checked it yesterday, didn't we? Didn't he lost 6 on a bounce and then won 12 on a bounce?
He won 6. I think he lost like 3 out of his last 4. Then he went on a 12-fight win streak, and he was fucking hell, mate. I don't know what they're feeding him in Brazil. It's not that fucking steak that Canelo were eating, was it?
Him and Alex Pereira have just been getting on hard bastard juice. That's it, mate.
Yeah.
But yes, Charles Oliveira going from strength to strength. Michael Chandler falling short on his return to Octagon, and then looking for that big money payday or for the next best thing in BMF belt. Okay, we'll move on. We'll have a little talk about Paul Craig, Britain's own, up against Bo Nickel. A lot of people thought that Paul Craig were just brought in to lose, to get beat, to build up Bo Nickel's, image and everything that he's got in UFC already, for him to keep that 0, to keep it going up. And ultimately, we know he did win the fight, but a lot of people would have thought he'd have won it before he actually did. A unanimous decision in the end, but a valiant effort from Paul Craig. He's took plenty of people's 0 before. Unfortunately, he didn't manage to do it last night, did he?
Yeah.
No, I mean, we kind of predicted, didn't we? I mean, all 3 of it, but me and you, Matty, won it last show we did, but we kind of predicted, and most people thought that he was going to. I mean, odds were massive against him. And to be honest, if you'd have watched that fight as a complete neutral and not knowing anything about these 2 guys, round on round, they were very close. I mean, you could argue just. I mean, you're talking. It was a close decision for me.
It's a good matchup, wasn't it, ultimately, for where Bo Nickel is. Obviously, he's got a lot of promise, but for where he is now, where he's, what, 4th fight in UFC? It was a good matchup by UFC, that, to give him Paul Craig. It was a good tie, and it showed it that he didn't come through quite as easy as he has his first 3 fights. It was a test for him. Obviously, a unanimous victory ultimately is a convincing win, but, you know, it give him something to think about.
Yeah, I mean, he's saying that's one of his best performances, because Paul Craig, I mean, he's had plenty of losses on his career, but he's a veteran at UFC. I'm not sure if he's had 20 odd fights in UFC. He's finished some top level guys. I mean, Ankalaev is stopped, who should have been in line to fight for like heavyweight title how many times?
Jamal Hill.
Not Johnny Walker.
Jamal Hill.
Yeah, Jamal Hill. Yeah, Jamal Hill broke his arm. I mean, he's a former champion. So I tell you what, interesting. Sorry. Without babbling on, it was strange in many ways, that fight, because one's one of the best wrestlers in UFC, if not the best, and other guy in Paul Craig is probably one of the elite submission artists. And I can't remember fighting him round once. He didn't try and take him down, and he didn't try. No. It was kind of a kickboxing match. It was a bit strange in that respect.
But
we all, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if that is an indication to where Bo Nickel is, really, because Paul Craig's not renowned, is he, for his kickboxing or his striking? And he were hanging him there. They were very close rounds for me. For me, did he win fight Bo Nickel? Yeah, even if you take the judging away from it, he won fight, but they were super close them rounds, I thought. So moving forward, I don't know really what he kind of dug in a bit, but he was never really hurt. So I'm not sure moving forward what it really tells you about Bo Nickel. I think there's still question marks in my mind.
Yeah, what you said when we were watching, he just kept looking for this big right overhand.
Yeah, overhand right, yeah, every time.
He just kept looking for that rather than actually standing and sparring with him. And he really looked for that. Wasn't concentrating on his jabs or anything. And Paul Craig was reacting to that, and he tried to counter him. So the fight never really went on. And about the takedowns, from Bo Nickel's point of view, I understand why he didn't try, because Paul Craig is a lot bigger guy than him. So to take him down would be hard at best. And if you take him down, he's a lot stronger than you. So probably wouldn't go down well. But why Paul Craig didn't try to take him down, that's a bit strange. Because that would play to his advantage.
He won't try to take him down. He might have pulled guard on him, but he's never taking Bo Nickel down. Not in a fucking million.
I think there's a bit. I get an impression a little bit with Bo Nickel as well, that he wants to evolve apart from just being this all-star American wrestler kid. I think he wants to show that he's got some stand-up game. He's got some kickboxing and Muay Thai and stuff like that. And maybe you saw this fight as an opportunity to showcase that, because I think he wants to shake that tag a little bit of just being a wrestler. You know what I mean? And obviously he wants to better himself anyway in all aspects of MMA, like all fighters do. You know, so. I suppose at some point you're only going to do that by doing it in actual fights, aren't you? There's only so much you can do in sparring sessions.
Well, yeah, I think that's a very good point you make, that where he's trying to get his experience and get his rounds under his belt. Because he did say that after, look how many fights Paul Craig had, look who he's beat. He's fought better guys. He's got his resumes 3 or 4 times longer than mine, and he's fought better guys than he has. We're open about that. So, yeah, I think you're absolutely bang on what you've just said there, Mike.
Thank you very much. Okay. We shall roll it up there. We'll have a little shout out to Oban Elliott, coming to UFC from working at Nando's, as we've all discovered this week, and managed to get a victory in prelims there. So well done to the Welshman on that. Is there anything you want to say on that?
Yeah, I hope Ariel Helwani gets him back on, because I really enjoyed. He had a bit of an he visited him last week, didn't he? We were in New York, and I think it were a couple of days before he rocked into Ariel Helwani's studio and did a bit of a sit down with him. And I don't know why I fucked up. I backed against him. Honestly, I don't know what I was doing.
Only one that let you down as well.
But honestly, I don't know why I picked him to get. Honestly, I don't know what I was thinking. But yeah, I won't ask him for money anyway.
Anyway, congratulations to Oban Elliott, and let's hope it's another British guy going strong in UFC. They keep coming. They keep coming. It's all good. Yeah. Anyway, right, lads. Nice one. We'll wrap it up there for this show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening to this review show. We've got some exciting things coming up. Not least, we've got some big BKFC stuff, especially coming up in the very near future, which hopefully everyone will be interested in seeing. And I guarantee you will be, from some veterans to some prospects to some maybe even presidents. We'll see. Not the one that were there last night, because we won't have any money for us.
Yeah, sorry, we couldn't get Dana, so we've had to get Trump.
Yeah. Oh, we haven't spoken about. What about the Jon Jones Trump dance?
Yeah, fuck that. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, guys, you should say, happy retirement to Stipe, because we've just mentioned that he hasn't got any light on his career, and we've just completely fucked him off. So.
Stipe Miocic, we salute you. You are the heavyweight GOAT. You have been great. Entertained us all for many, many years, and I'm sure that this clip from our tiny little podcast will get nowhere near you, but know that you're appreciated by people.
Much respect and appreciation, absolutely.
Okay, thank you everybody for listening, and we'll see you again soon. From me, goodbye.
Bye-bye.